I think this sport will beat you down. It can get to be really negative, especially with injuries and people missing time, and I believe that it's too negative. We need to build the kids up.
Some of these big teams are trying to push these riders so up there because to me they don't give two shits about them, they're just tear-offs.
If you go to a facility, my brother was successful when we went to MTF, but guess what? I was there. I was working on his bikes. We were doing a program within a program because you cannot train 20 kids. Nobody can.
I've had many conversations where like, hey, like, he just doesn't have the work ethic or the drive to want to do this for you to sacrifice everything for it.
Most teams, most factories, most sponsors don't care about anything except their sales or their image. As long as you win. If you can't win, well, I could care less that you're my friend.
The thing about this whole sport is there's not one way to do it. And every kid is different. And so training facility, this, that, would I have gone to a training facility? I don't know. At that time, it wasn't an option. So I just think that we all look for an answer like, I want to go from A, to Z, or A to B, or A to C. It just doesn't work like that. We all function different, and I think you do the best with what you've got. I am a firm believer that there's not one way to do this, but by any means. There's kids that grow up with, they can only ride a motorcycle 6, 7, 8 months a year because of weather, snow, or where they happen to live or grow up. So there's not one way to do this thing. There's many, many ways. People want to find a reason like, I have to be here, I have to be here, I have to go to this race, I have to go to that race, I have to be at this training facility, that training facility. I don't think any of it's crazy. I think you need to do what's best for the kid. So whatever's best for the kid, you need to have grown-up conversations with your kid. You need to understand where his mind frame is. So, I mean, at the end of the day, motocross in the general world of sports, stick and ball sports, car racing and all this, we're a little crazy because there's, our budgets are so much smaller, and the amount of commitment that it takes, it's just so different. We want to compare it to different sports, and it's not the same. Like, we're here right now in Texas, there's 50 races to 450 A class that those guys are trying to find a job. No one's at school here. The families, and then the siblings, like, it's just such a massive commitment that is so different. And I'm not saying that being on an on-road baseball high school team, like, I'm not saying they don't make commitments. This is just different. Like, it really is. And there's really no way to compare it.
My amateur career was pretty short. I started in 1984 and 1988. So 1984 I was 9 to 11 beginner. 1988 I was 125 250 pro. 1990 I finished 5th in my first national. So it was short, and I only did Loretta's maybe 3 times. Ponca 3 times, you know, this and that. My last year, I won probably 10 championships in the pro class against McGrath and Swink, and so we had a big group that way. Once I was winning my class, I was done. I was in the next class. I didn't hang there to win trophies and anything like that. It was just like an instinct of mine. Okay, let's go, you know, because every class I went into, it took me a little bit, then I just started winning, you know, because again, once you move up a class, you should be able to start matching that speed because you're racing against it, you know, you're learning from it, and then you progress quicker. And that's where I see a lot of people just kind of hanging back and not making that progression. There wasn't even any coaches. There wasn't even trainers. There wasn't anything. Even when I raced my first Supercross, I never rode a Supercross track. We didn't have them. You know what I mean? So we did a lot of stuff blind. Now there's a lot more direction, but sometimes that direction makes you lazy without trying to figure it out yourself or not figuring out what works for you. Because if it doesn't work for you, then it's not true. When you go to a facility, you can't just make training for each certain person. It has to be kind of, even with Eldon, it has to be a package that works for everybody or a one-way. And if it doesn't work for you, well then sorry. I can't change everything when there's 15 other people. There's one way and one way only. And if it doesn't work for you, then sorry. If it works for you, then cool. That's not really their problem. It's the rider's problem, it's the parent's problem that you sent them there hoping that this one way will work. Yes, I'm sure a little here, a little here, a little here. But with Noah, every day it's only about him. Every day it's about where is he going to get better? Where is he lacking? Where can we progress? You know, this and that. That's what it's all about. Not just, okay, this is what we do and hopefully it works, and if it doesn't, oh well. Everything is very specific on what we do, so you can get so much more progression that way. But a lot of people don't have that lucky charm. And again, I've never found a situation like this, and I've trained people for a good 10, 12 years. So that diamond in the rough or that match, that perfect match comes around every once in a while. So saying that the training facilities are good to a point, but to me, if you really want to you know, make it specifics for somebody, if you really, really, really want to fine tune somebody, I don't know if they're the correct way, you know?
I'm not sure. Because luckily for me, it did work out to where it was worth it. For everyone here, I'm not sure. But what I do think that you will get out of it is that you're with your family. You're in a motorhome, a camp trailer, hotel room. Like, that's one thing that I really, really think is good about motocross is that you're spending time with your kids. You're learning them. You're competing. They're motivated. They're here for a reason. They want to do good, and I definitely think that whether it's worth it or not, I don't know. I don't know, because it is really hard, but there's so much just family time spent and with friends, and friends typically park together, and there's a lot of camaraderie. And I think that there is something there that does help kids. And motocross is brutal, that it's on you. And I do think that you can learn some life lessons from racing a motorcycle, especially at a high level, because there's no cheating it. I mean, you can make excuses, you can do this and that, but at the end of the day, like, once the gate drops, it's you. So yeah, there is situations, but it's very, very, very much an independent sport, and I think that it's very character building.
Look, if someone is a fighter and wants to move up a weight class, he doesn't just go fight, and he doesn't just go fight for a championship. He stays in the gym for 6-8 months, gets that bulk, gets used to that speed, gets used to things that way, gets a warm-up fight, and then goes for that. They take time. In our sport, it's like get on the big bike and go race. you know? And to me, that's incorrect, because you're getting somebody that is not used to the weight, not used to the power, not used to the inertia, and then thinking he can ride it like a 80 or a 105 because he's a great rider. And so they override it because no one's teaching them how to ride it, and then they have these crashes, injuries, and problems. And so my idea was, well, why go backwards? Why go that way? I'm a big dreamer, so let's go to the pro class. Instead of going B, then A, well, how about we just stay 2 years in A? And any race that we do, we have a chance to win money. If you're still racing for trophies, well, you know, you're going to be left in the dust. Let's go make some money. Let's go make $100 here, $200 here, a chance to make $1,000, whatever it is. But take the pressure completely off. How are you going to do today, Noah? Just racing. You know, I'm not expected to do anything. I'm expected to learn. And who you're learning from are people with more experience, more years under their belt. So you're going to learn quicker. The speed's up. You're going to learn quicker. You have no expectation under you. You're going to be more relaxed. How does anybody do when they come to the first year of nationals? They usually do pretty good. The second year is when they struggle, because now you have to, got to, need to. And so that was my whole idea, is like, let's go up 250F. Let's teach you how to ride it correctly. Let's move up to the pro class, and let's spend 2 years there and learn from better riders, bigger races, longer motos, and then there's more potential to make something out of this sport, and that's just a little bit of money because there's not much in it. And again, if you're still stuck in the little dream of winning trophies, you know, little dreams, little successes, big dreams, big successes. So people might be patient on moving their kid up, but then they're impatient with the results. See, I wasn't impatient about moving him up to the top class, but I'm patient with his results. Everybody's different. Not everybody can handle the pressure. Not everybody has someone behind them that can lead them the right ways, make sure they don't go down the dead ends that person did, and also have the parents that can support them and be patient with their development. And so that's why it works for Noah, would work for anybody else. Just depends on the person, you know? Depends on the person. Not everybody can handle that pressure or the ability to get beat for a while.
My opinion and how I try and approach it, I tell him exactly what I think, good or bad, exactly what I think, and we have a conversation, and then I try and be really positive with him. I think this sport will beat you down. It can get to be really negative, especially with injuries and people missing time, and I believe that it's too negative. We need to build the kids up. Like, dude, you're fine, it's okay. Like, I get it, it's a race. I don't think you performed the way that I think you could have. I know you have it, but let's just talk about it. I'm not gonna beat you down, and just, this sport has a tendency to feel you're as good as your last race. And it's very, very true. And part of me understands it because I went through it, but the other part of me is like, give them a chance. And if it's the same over and over and over and over and over, okay, I get it. But if there's little breakouts here and there, like, let's give them a little praise. These kids are trying, they work hard, they try really hard, and it means a lot to them. So I just think it's important to be absolutely honest when you know for a fact they made a poor decision, and really, really praise them on the things that they did well. I've never played basketball. I've never played any other sport, you know, football, all that. It's a hard sport, physically, mentally, a lot of consequences. Like, show them a little love. So I do think that that's very important, and something that the sport as a whole misses the mark on a little bit.
If you love something, have so much passion behind it, and there's an opportunity for you to make it, well, if you don't go all in, then how do you know? You know, you got to go all in to a certain point. But some people go all in and keep trying to go all in and keep trying when it's just the writing's on the wall, but you're blinded. You're blinded from the passion. You're blinded from the excitement. You're blinded from the love of it. You know what I mean? And you're not willing to pull the plug because you want it almost more than your kid wants it. You know, a lot of the top teams at the top are doing it incorrect also by bringing so many kids up so fast, but not giving them the chance to develop. We're bringing you up in this team and we're going to train you. This kid's not ready to be trained. He needs to be developed. You know, it's like Noah. I still tell him, I've never told him to go fast. You know, he's still like, you're not ready to go fast yet. You're ready. You're still here to learn. You're still here to develop. You're still here to understand how this bike, these tracks, this pace works. But some of these big teams are trying to push these riders so up there because to me they don't give two shits about them. They're just tear-offs, and once they become a little dirty, they flop on the ground. And they come up, they put them with the sharks, with the guys that have been in there for years and years and years. The same training program as they have. They don't have the training age, meaning they haven't trained for 5 to 6 years like these other guys have, so they can't handle that much training. And then now they're trying to stopwatch nationals, trying to keep up with how fast these guys are going, and they're riding over their head because their technique, their skills, and their know-how of the sport isn't up to that level. Yeah, bring them up, but develop them. Don't just train them. And, you know, a guy coming from college to pro, and he's a quarterback. What's he do? He sit on the sidelines for 2-3 years, learning the plays, learning this. Me might go in a little bit, but he's only learning what, you know, Drew Brees or whatever was doing. He doesn't just come in first year, maybe some of them, but most of them on the sidelines for a little bit. I think the sport goes wrong as they're trying to, you know, because most teams, most factories, most sponsors don't care about anything except their sales or their image. You know, they could care less if your name is Bob, John, Cindy, or whatever, as long as you win. If you can't win, well, I could care less that you're my friend. That's kind of what I see in the sport, you know?